Costs seem to be rising everywhere, but your local electric cooperative is doing something about it. We're investing in new technologies that are improving operations and strengthening reliability. And as part of your electric co-op, you're also part of the solution. You can help by making your home more energy efficient. Together, we have the power to make a difference.
This message brought to you by Cumberland Electric Membership Corporation.
Hi, we're the Shire Brothers, and you're listening to WSGI AM 1100, Springfield,
God's Informer.
One street over there's a life I could have known, one beyond my wildest dreams. Maybe that road could have carried me to streets of gold. Things aren't always as they seem. Looking back on all the chances that I missed, some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist, I wondered what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. Time's gone by, I've traded like dirt into clay. I thought my memories would end. One street over's now 1,000 miles away. When I close my eyes, I'm back to where I've been. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today.
Hello, this is 1100 WSGI. I'm U-Turn LaVern, and this is One Street Over. Sitting here chit-chatting with my guest, Dr. Danny Weeks, our Director of Schools, off mic, just talking about all the things, trying to make sure we get this show out as much as possible. So the way it works now, I used to have an original video on my page, but if you're following my page, you need to follow WSGI's page, so that way you get notified when it pops up. But I do always share it, so it's on both. But if you want to comment, you need to comment on the WSGI page. So if you have something you want to share with our Director of Schools, go to the WSGI page. You'll see it there on mine, and just link to it and put your comments there. It's kind of weird how all the social media things work, and they change it all the time. And it's like I woke up one day a few months ago, and they had warned me they were going to knock out all my videos and all all that, and they did. The ones I had on my page, if it were a live one, and so they're changing the way they do that, and then they changed me to a digital content creator. And it's like, when you see those things, it's like that's just the algorithm saying you're now digital content. It's like, well, thank you. I didn't want
Sounds
that.
like an honor, yes.
Well, no, I liked it being my personal page. Yeah. So it's like trying to figure out the social media stuff. I'm trying. The kids teach me a lot about it.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But we haven't visited in a couple of months because
it has been.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Well, you figure we had, I'm going to get you to pull that microphone just a little bit closer to you.
Sure.
But, and tip it up to where it's pointing right. Good deal. And so we had fall break.
Yes.
And so during fall break, they moved the meeting up a week, and we already had that locked in with White House, because we have the White House community that comes out. We have, the Chamber of Commerce and the city offices, and we visit with them. And so that was locked in, and I was trying to find another place to put you. And I'm sorry. We were just so slammed.
It was a busy
It
month.
was a very busy month.
And I did. I took a few days off there during the
Good for
break as
you.
well, so
Yeah.
I got a day or two away in the mountains, so that was nice.
Awesome. Well, see, and then with us, we had a wedding the week we got back from fall break.
Mhm.
So my son got married. It's just been, and now we got Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Just kind of rolling like a snowball down the hill right on top of us. And speaking of snow,
Speaking of snow,
oh, that was quite funny. The kids yesterday looking out the window, it's snowing. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's not. It's kind of spitting a little cold stuff, but it's not. But out toward Crossville and all
Yeah.
that.
I have to watch the weather a lot more than I want to when it
Sure.
gets to be this time of
Yeah.
year, and being very careful and monitoring that. And I guess it was about the time I went to bed, I saw several of the East Tennessee schools up in the very tip.
Yeah.
Saw them starting to say, to start off 2 hours late because
Yeah.
first snow, you don't know what it's going to do
Yeah.
and things like that. And I thought that was maybe a little overdoing it, but maybe it was snowing there. But
Yeah.
I know by mid morning, I was talking to some superintendents. You said Crossville, Cookville, Overton County, and that area. They were going to close early and go home because they were afraid of what it might do that day.
Yeah, and they did get some snow up
They
there.
did,
They
yeah.
really did, and so it was quite, shocking. It was so funny. I was leaving school yesterday, and we had we're working. We just started. We're in competition with Springfield for a short film competition, and it started yesterday.
Nice.
So I had some of my broadcast club people hang out, and we were working on the outline and the script and all that. And so they didn't all get out of there until about 4 o'clock, and it was 20 after 4, I think, when I pulled out. And I was on the phone with my friend Muriel Barnett, who you know well, and I was like, "Where have all the people gone?" Because there was nobody on the road. I'm like, "What is going on?" She goes, "LaVern, it's Tennessee. It's dark and it's snowing." And I was like, "You've got to be kidding me." And she goes, "And it's so cold." And I was like, "Stop." But anyway, it was quite funny. I've got a little blurb in my news, the news for the kiddos that they're going to put together today for tomorrow, that talks about, temperatures are warmer today, but we had a little snow.
Right.
And I had my kids go outside, just outside my door, and just kind of dance around in it for a minute, just for some little fun video to put in the news. So, and then of course we tie that into the fact that our spirit store is selling beanies and hoodies if you're cold. Just got to tie it all together. So,
But that's a great place for us to talk. We usually kind of know when the first snows are coming
Yeah.
in, and families plan for that. But I think this would be a great time for us to talk about the importance of keeping our Power School screens and our information up to date, because families that are new to Tennessee, new to our area, may not be familiar with our snow procedures. And
right.
believe it or not, we got a few phone calls yesterday about, are we going to dismiss or not?
Yeah.
And we said at regular time, that's it's too early and nothing going to be on the roads, as everybody knew. But for us, our first mode of getting that message out is sending a school messenger call to everyone's home. So it's important that people in their Power School accounts keep their phone numbers up to date. And I think you can have up to 5 or 6 phone numbers in there. So if someone wanted to make sure maybe a cell number, and if anybody still had a
there's plenty of
landline,
room.
or maybe a mom and a dad, or a mom and a dad and a child all wanted the messages and things like that, make sure those numbers are in your Power School account. Make sure they're up to date. Make sure they're active and things of that nature. But the first decisions that we make about any kind of weather, that's our first mode of getting that message out. So we take care of sending that call. The software that we have has the ability to call about 20,000 people within 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So that's
That's
hard for us to think
amazing.
about.
20,000 in 30 minutes.
Yeah. And so I don't know how that works, but
it works.
I know it does, and it's a pretty easy process for us to do. But we've talked about many times is, when we make a decision to alter anything about our school calendar, some people think it's just a quick decision, and it's not. It's about a 45-minute process by the time that we pick up the phone, start getting on the software, trying to send that message out there. And then we contact all of our media outlets. We contact the 4 Nashville television stations. We contact radio stations here, Tennessean, Smoky Barn. And so all of those media outlets get that information, and they start processing that and, putting it on the television so we can see that scroll across the bottom of our screens
Right.
and things like that. But and another thing is making sure our kids know what they're going to do when we are dismissed early. And sometimes with mom and dad working,
Hmm.
they may need to go to an alternate place during that afternoon, or that, if we get out at noon or something like that, they may go to their grandparents' house, aunts, uncles, friends, or neighbors, and things like that. And so making sure the school knows what to do, and making sure that the children know what to do, because
They have a plan.
yes, and so whatever that plan is, we will certainly honor that. But if on the day that we are dismissing, if somebody doesn't know, they're maybe in Nashville at work and don't know what they're going to do, we have to assume that the children are going to get home the way that they always get
Hmm.
home, which we would, put them on the bus or have them in a car rider line as normal, waiting on their normal ride. So, making plans now. I know we talked to some folks that are here and maybe kind of feel isolated because they don't have family in the area. So it's time to start thinking about, what would we
Who's gonna pick
do?
my kid
Who's
up?
going to pick my kid up when we
Hmm.
dismiss early, or just the opposite? Well, who's going to keep my children during the day if we happen to be out of school that day for snow and things of that nature? So, good planning. We do have some schools that have daycares that are open under normal circumstances, but even it gets too snowy and icy sometimes to open those. So, good time for families to plan. Good time
Hmm.
for families to talk about what they're going to do. Make sure the school knows. So if it's unusual, they may ride a different bus to a different location on a snow day or something like that. Make sure that child knows that so that they can communicate that with their teacher, and we check that out and make sure that's all correct and what the parents want to do.
Yeah, and and it's so funny. Yesterday, the kids were all like, "I need to call my mom. It's
Yeah.
snowing." I'm like, "No, no, you don't. It doesn't." But they were already starting that.
Sure.
It's like, "What if we leave early?" I'm like, "We're
Yeah.
not leaving early. I
Right.
promise you, we are not leaving early. We're good." And just that initial, real overreaction, and like you said, just a little bit of planning keeps you
Right.
from doing that
Hmm.
overreaction.
Hmm.
And so it was quite funny. But the kids were very excited, and I told them, I said, "Well, the forecast is that we're going to have a mild winter."
Right.
So I said, we may not see another snowflake.
Exactly. Right.
It just happened that it hit when it did. And then, of course, as I say that, we may have the
Who
worst
knows?
winter ever. But we are utilizing one of our snow days on December 2nd.
Yes.
You want to address that while we're on the subject of
Sure.
schedules and things?
We'll do that, and I'm a planner, and I really love to get a plan in place and leave it alone. But
Mhm.
because of the special election for the congressional seat, we had to take a day a couple of weeks ago for the primary, and then we're going to have to take the December 2nd day for the general election for that congressional seat. And in doing so, we're going to use one of our inclement weather days. And so, any teacher that's behind in some PD, they have the opportunity to make that up that day. But state law will not allow us to have students in school and regular school in session when we're having a general election or any type of election. And I think we have about 13 or 14 of our schools are used as a polling location for elections here in Robertson County. And so because of that, it's required by law that we do not have regular session school. So we'd originally talked about the possibility of maybe doing some virtual programming on that day, but just after processing and things of that nature, we just decided to go ahead, let any teacher that may have been behind on some PD, they could take care of that on that day, and then just give the students that break, even though we're coming out of Thanksgiving and going into the Christmas and winter season. But it's it's funny how laws like that impact our school system, and we didn't even know that law was going through the legislative process when it
Mhm.
when it went through. I think that's been about 5 years ago now,
Mhm.
and so it just kind of came out and surprised us because we're busy tracking educational bills as they go through, and who knew an election bill would go through a whole different chamber and go through all those things, and we got surprised by that a little bit.
Well, was it prior to that? Were you able to be open if the polling was going on?
It was. So
Really?
so you can think
Okay.
about there at your school.
Yeah.
It was kind of isolated. I guess
Okay.
I think a lot of times maybe we moved, um, maybe moved into the theater and had voting in theaters or voting in gymnasiums, and just
Okay.
kind of shut down PE classes or
But
something
you
like
didn't have
that
to
during that
close
time.
the entire school.
Didn't have to close
Oh,
school. So
didn't realize
it's
that.
relatively new. Probably,
Okay.
I would say within the last 5 years that we've had to do
Interesting.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I just kind of assumed because I vote, at a school
Hmm.
over. I guess it's which one is it over there behind Cumberland Electric?
West Side.
Yeah, that's what I
Probably.
was
Yeah.
thinking. I wanted to say West Side, but I was
Yeah.
like, is it West Side? Yeah, it's West Side. But I've been voting there forever,
Hmm.
but I just never really thought about. And I've always voted. Never really thought about when it became a thing where it was
Hmm.
not open.
Hmm.
So that's interesting. Okay.
I think probably a combination of safety
Yeah.
and then the confusion. When people come into school, and uh, kids like to interact with adults, and adults
Yeah.
like to interact, and so some of those things, just trying to curb some of that and have that separation, and
Okay.
just the convenience to the election commission for having the entire building, the restrooms, and not having students there and things of that nature. So it
Okay.
made it a lot easier.
Very good. Well, and so we do have that coming up on December 2nd, and that's unusual, and we're utilizing one of our snow days to do that.
Yes.
One of our bank days, as you've explained on
Right.
when this first came up, when we first talked about it. But now also too today is Veterans Day. We appreciate our veterans so very much. We had our Veterans Day program yesterday at Greenbrier because Coach Wood puts that on every year, and he said, it's just an opportunity because the veterans are so busy on Veterans Day. Let's have it a day early. Let's have it on Monday.
Nice.
And I thought that was good.
Hmm.
My son has participated in the last two, and last year he almost wasn't able to be here because he had veterans programs at his office and things like that. And so I think it was very good to have it on this day. And also too, we had such a treat by having Mr. Jimmy Wren, that will be 102 in December, a World War II veteran that the kids had a chance to, just listen to. We're covering that in the news a little bit tomorrow as well, and talking about his experiences at Iwo Jima. I never can say Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
I never say it right. But where they put the flag up,
Hmm.
he was there for the actual
Wow.
placing of the flag on
Hmm.
Iwo Jima. We all have those words we can't say. That's one of mine. And he was there, and he was talking about how that it was not quite what it is depicted in the images that they have now,
Hmm.
but the original. And then he gave the kids just some life lessons about living long and living healthy and happy. And he talked for a minute. It was so sweet. He was like, good habits, make good habits. And it's all in moderation. And he was just so cute. He was just fascinating. I believe he'll be with us next year.
Well, you mentioned Veterans
wonderful.
Day programs, and we're excited. We sometimes get calls about why are we in school on a holiday, but just as you said, I think there are so many exciting things that we do in our schools, and yours is just one of. I've got a whole list of programs.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hit 3 today myself, and I think students get that experience of seeing and hearing and actually talking to veterans, or hear them talk, and to be a part of that celebration and that time of nationalism and that time of understanding what it means to be able to live in our country and the freedoms we enjoy here. And so there are some really high quality programs. I knew they started yesterday. We had a few last night, several today, and even into the night. So there are a lot of great things going on. And again, I'm going to try to hit several today.
And I think it's wonderful that we're in school on Veterans Day. I had a friend ask me, said something she wanted us to do together today, and I told her, I said, well, we're in school.
Right.
She's like, really? I said, well, I've had it explained to me that it's because otherwise the kids are just off. They don't really understand Veterans
Right.
Day. And this way they're being exposed to the understanding of who our veterans are. And what I love too is we always feature our teachers who are veterans,
Right.
the ones that are willing. Some of them are a little shy. I know a few that won't get up there, but just like Coach Offit, they love him, and he's a veteran, and they love hearing from him and listening to his experiences, and just hearing from our World War II veteran yesterday was just such a wonderful surprise. And there was this one girl there. And I did not know her, but she was just crying. I was like, "Are you okay?" She goes, I don't know. She just had a heart for the veterans and what they were doing and listening to their stories, and she was just the sweetest thing. And I thought she wouldn't have had that experience if we were sitting at home taking a day off.
Exactly.
You know, and I saw there was another student that I had that is a senior this year, and he graduated through my program. Just love him to pieces, and He has joined the military already. He's already committed. He's already signed his letter of commitment, and he talked with Mr. Wren at the end, and just listening to them just was so special. Just so special listening to him talk and advise these kiddos. Oh, I just loved it. I just loved it. Coach Wood, thank you for that. That was just a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Beautiful day. Beautiful day. Okay, so what else? I had several things on my list that I wanted to ask you about because I knew, and it wasn't things that I needed to know, but I knew people were curious about because Veterans Day and, of course, December 2nd, the snow policy, all of those things. But as we're kind of getting in, I'm not kind of, we're immersed in the holiday season.
Right.
Just rolling right into Thanksgiving. We will be in school Monday and Tuesday and off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
That's correct.
And we are coming right back from Thanksgiving. We're going to be into course testing right away. As a matter of fact, we have our last day to take field trips before end of course testing is like this Friday. Now, I usually do one on the other side of testing with my kiddos, but, we've got end of course testing coming up and just all the things. I mean, before we blink, we're going to be halfway through the school year.
It's moving along fast. It is. And
it's so quick.
It goes quickly. And, I know from a student's perspective, they think school's forever. And we approved graduation for winter graduates last night. And so looking at winter graduation coming up right after there. And believe it or not, we've set graduation dates for the spring as well.
Okay.
And so they'll know. We'll get those publicized, get those on our websites today. And make sure people know when those are. But there's just so much going on. And, I last week, we talked about the Professional Development Day. I know you had an opportunity to be in your classroom or to be with some other teachers and planning and working through those things. Tuesday, we had a great day with our parent-teacher conferences. And we hope that was a productive time for both teachers and families to get together and talk to their teacher. If there are any kind of issues that need to be brought, sometimes people call our office, and we welcome people to call our office. But when if a student in your classroom is having trouble academically or behaviorally or things like that, it's best to call you, right?
Oh yeah.
Not to call our office to see what we can do, but to call that teacher and have that conversation one-on-one with the teacher. And so that was the purpose of last Tuesday, where we I think most of our schools ran on 12 to 7 schedule, 11 to 7, something like that. And we're parents that maybe normally work could come in and have that dedicated time to talk one-on-one with a teacher or a group of teachers that their students can plan for. And so we're still collecting numbers from how many visits and conferences we had that day, and looking at those. And but it's a good time to get in. It's not too far into the school year. We talked about how fast it's going. It's not too far, and it still gives teachers a good time to talk to parents about what they can do, maybe to get their students back on track, maybe find out if they're missing some work. Here's your makeup work. Let's get that taken care of and knocked out. Because again, once you cross, particularly in our high schools, once you cross that Christmas break when courses are over, you can't go back and make up something. But right now, there's plenty of time to do that. And I know we don't like to think about it, but during Thanksgiving holidays, if someone were behind in some classes, great time to get caught up on something. They haven't read a book or something like that they need to do. They've got some time to do that and everything. So it is a good time, and we've had a lot of things like that going on. So having families come in and meet with teachers and to be able to do that's a great time. From our office, we also had the opportunity to be a part of the Robertson County State of the System and State of the School, State of the County, State of the Schools presentation. Chamber of Commerce does a great job of working with us. And Mayor Vogel had about 30 minutes to talk about where we are as a county and physically where we are. And the school system had about 30 minutes to talk about the great things that are going on in the school system and some of the accomplishments that we've had, and some that are yet to be announced and are going to be announced in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we're excited about all that too. So we're thankful for the Chamber of Commerce, the work that they do, but again, just the opportunity to devote one of their programs to the school system, and to make sure that people know it's our school system. Whether you have children in school or not, it's the county school system, and a lot to be proud of there. And yesterday had the opportunity to meet with one of my favorite groups, the Retired Teachers Association.
Oh, okay.
So they meet every other month, And during November, they come to central office, and so they get to interact with our staff. And just like you were talking about the veterans coming in and talking and sharing information, we always get to reflect on the group that's there. And I think there were about 45 retired teachers yesterday in our building, and they're always anxious to hear updates on where we are as a system and what's going on and changes and proposed legislation that's coming up. So it's been a full week for us as well at our office.
Yeah, and my retired teacher friend Muriel, I can't begin to tell you how valuable she is to me, because if I have a question, I can call her, and being able to talk to somebody who's been there, that experience is golden. I actually had one of our brand new teachers, a young fella, who's doing just a great job, came up to me yesterday and was asking about progress report stuff and when to put stuff in and all this kind of stuff. And I got so tickled. Here I am. I feel very much a newbie myself, and now I'm advising a younger teacher. And so it's just so funny how crucial that is, even for somebody like me that's just starting their 4th year. Knowledge is power, man, and you only get that through experience in a lot of the teaching stuff, because there's just, my husband and I, we have been keeping a list of the things that people need to know. And I know somebody else has done that. It's like, okay, a new teacher, here's everything you need to know.
Yeah.
And my husband's super organized. And so when he started teaching, he's like, I'm going to keep this list. I'm like, you go. And I've been so tickled at the things. I'm like, oh yeah. And it's like when the teacher came up to me yesterday, he's like, okay, so progress reports, because we've already done one. He's like, and he goes, are they already due this week? And he goes, I feel like we just got back from fall break. I said, I know. And I said, it's just like that. And I said, and a lot of that's because of Thanksgiving coming up and all of that. The timing on those. And he said, so I've got to get the grades in this day. And I was like, yeah. And just the things that he just needed to clarify, that because he's only done it once.
Right.
And so as those retired teachers, man, you are priceless to us.
And
we love you so much.
And that's so important. Even, no matter where you went to college and what kind of preparation you had, those are unique to different school systems.
Yeah.
So somebody that may be a 20-year veteran in another school system comes here, we have unique ways of the way we do those, and there's specificities to the programs that we use and things. So a lot to learn, and having a good mentor, having a good friend that they can come check with, that means a lot.
Yeah, so it's wonderful. But I love that you mentioned the retired teachers, because my retired teacher I keep in my pocket. She's very helpful. She's very helpful.
It was interesting. I saw I think there were I counted around the room, kind of spotted around the room. I think there were 7 of those teachers who were my teachers.
Oh, wow.
And so that was fun.
Yeah.
And then there were another 11 teachers, I believe I counted, that I taught with. So I was on staff with some of those folks. And when you had those people as your teachers, that means a lot. And I think that's one of the reasons that we go into teaching, is somebody has inspired us, someone has touched us, and we have that opportunity to give back. Both of my parents were educators, and so that it was kind of natural to me. But I saw my first music teacher, and being a musician, I think he had a lot to do with inspiring me to learn music and participate, and be learn notes and things. We did that a long time ago, and so I had a chance to thank him yesterday, and saw some teachers that weren't necessarily my favorite subjects, but I love them as people. They were great people, and helped us keep on track, help us do our work, help us stay out of trouble and things like that. So it was a nice day.
I think that's cool. We just had our class reunion this summer, and I was a little we have in the past had some of our teachers that joined us, and I was disappointed that we didn't have any of our teachers, because we're getting older, and they were older too. So, but teachers, if you're ever invited to class reunions, go. Because the kiddos, I've enjoyed seeing my teachers, but particularly one of my coaches, and was, I'm same with you, just seeing those relationships and remembering that. That's one of the reasons why I'm teaching, is because I had key people that were big influences in my life, and in simple ways, and I have, you were talking about, students that need to catch things up over Thanksgiving, and you know who you are. I talked to you yesterday, young man, one of my students that I've taught and have been close with, and just being able to talk with them and just encourage them. This does matter. This does matter. This is going quickly. You've got to get this done. You don't want to have to be doing this You know, you want to you want to enjoy that part of this experience. And so many of these kiddos, when they're in the lower grades, they're like, it's not that big of a deal. But then their senior year, they're having to make up a class that they didn't take seriously instead of doing something else they want to do. You know, it comes up. You were mentioning how quick it's going. We did a count on when we got back to school Wednesday last week in our newscast. We basically reminded the seniors, you have only, if you're graduating in the winter, as of Wednesday last week, you only had 29 school days left, because we would have had 30 had it not been for the December 2nd.
How about that? Okay.
But 29, and that was last Wednesday. So, you know, we're at 25 now. I mean, you know, counting today, I guess. Yeah. But so it's going super quick. And I've got several that are graduating early that I'm super close to, and I can't hardly stand it. I'm like, why are you graduating early? But anyway, talking with Dr. Danny Weeks, he's our director of schools, about all the things that happened at the school board meeting last night. They meet on the second Monday, and it does you know, change during Martin Luther King Jr. Day, President's Day, and then of course we had fall break, and they made that adjustment. So we do adjust it from time to time, but typically you're going to have a school board meeting on the second Monday, and you can see it online. Everything's completely public. You can watch every little piece of it. We'll continue talking about that, but let's go ahead and pause and talk about Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty. I know I was going to, because I talk about them every single day. They are our longest running full-time sponsor. We love talking about all the incredible things that they do in the community. You know, I've shared a couple of things with you over the last week, just a couple of listings that they had. But I just want to remind you that if you're looking for property, and you want to stay up to date on properties that's going to post in maybe the area you're wanting to live in. Maybe you want to live in Greenbrier. Maybe you want to live near me. Just, you know, give them a zip code, give them the address, and they will send you properties that are selling in that area. You'll get them in an email. I get emails from Barry all the time about different listings here in Springfield, ones that are in White House, Greenbrier. He sends me all the Greenbrier ones because I'm teaching out there. And we've asked them to keep an eye on property that borders ours, because our children have talked, one of our boys has talked about building up at the top of the hill of our property, but we don't have any road frontage. So that's something they're keeping an eye on for us, is if that road frontage might become available, if there's something we can do to, you know, accommodate them. For some reason, he don't want to build right next door to me. He, you know, he wants to build up on top of the hill, kind of away from me. I get that. I kind of think that's a good idea. But anyway, so they're keeping an eye on that for me. Those are the kinds of things that they can help you with. They specialize in Robertson County properties, but they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. Like myself, they're originally from Kentucky, so they understand what it means to live in Kentucky and work in Tennessee. I actually have friends that are doing that. As a matter of fact, you know, talk about affordability. Rebecca just put up a property in Franklin, Kentucky that is listed at $185,000. And you don't find that around here. But it's more affordable to live sometimes across the state line, but you've got to figure into your budget, what is that state income tax going to do to the bottom line? How much home can I afford? But there's just all the options that you want to look at. Of course, Barry is the marketer. He is going to make sure your property, if you're selling, is seen in the absolute perfect best light, so that when people are flipping through those listings, yours pops and it's not missed. Reach out to them today, sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buy, B-U-Y, robertscounty.com. Or you can give Rebecca a call, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Or Barry's number is 615-504-7424. Just change that last digit. Remember that if you know, he is the broker here in Springfield. She has the agency up in White House. Together they make Exit Prime Realty, just a new branch in the same tree they've been working with all the time, the Exit team. Let them know that U-Turn sent you when you reach out to them. Dr. Danny Weeks, what else do we need to talk about? What else did y'all do at the meeting last night? Well, let me turn your microphone back up. There you go.
Let's go back again.
Okay.
You had mentioned the school board meeting dates, and so last night the board approved the meeting dates for the calendar year beginning January. And so again, they'll see, we'll get those on the website today. And so by the end of the day, everybody will know exactly when those meeting dates are. And as you mentioned, you know, some of them are off, not necessarily the second week, due to holidays or scheduled breaks or different things like that. But so the board approved those calendar dates last night. So again, that's an opportunity to be there. And every one of our board meetings, we have an opportunity to recognize a group of folks. And so last night, we recognized teachers who are a teacher of a tested subject. And last night, we had probably 45 to 50 teachers there who had the highest scores in achievement in their classrooms last night. So,
Awesome.
all the way from third grade, all the way through our high school end of course tests. And so they each receive a banner to go in their classrooms and shows
Oh,
that they
that's
had the
fun.
highest scores. And if we had some that are multiple year winners of that, and I say winners or multiple year recognees, being recognized for that. And so we have dates that we can put on those banners if they already have a flag hanging in their room. So good time to do that. We did that a couple of months ago for the students and teachers who had the largest growth, and so this is the ones who had the largest, you know, number of students proficient in their classes.
Well, we had some, several that did that, and this is something I want to mention. This while we're on that subject, this is the kind of thing that changes the culture in
Mm-hmm.
your school.
Mm-hmm.
And I know if I brag a lot on Miss Grimes with the Renaissance program that we do, and it's so important. Do you have those things that help change your culture? And they just our Renaissance program was just awarded with by Renaissance, Johnston Renaissance, for the School Culture Builder Award. And this is the kind of thing. So since you
Yeah.
mentioned that, that's how you do that. That's how you, because I've had a couple of the principals will come in and we'll talk about them. I always like to say, what are you most proud of at your school? And oftentimes the answer is our culture, because it is work to change your culture. And
Mm-hmm.
doing these kinds of recognitions and saying, hey, look what we did helps change that culture. We have the People's Choice Awards that we're doing on
Right.
Thursday night at our
Mhm.
school. Those are culture changing things. So I just encourage you, in some of the other schools, if you're listening and you don't have these programs going in your schools, get them going. And this stuff matters. The kids take note of this. They take note of this, and it makes a difference, and it does change your culture. But that's really cool that y'all did that. And I love they have banners to hang up.
Yeah.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
And you mentioned culture. I mean, it is, every school has its unique culture, and how staff gets along with staff, how staff in the community, and staff and students. And it is hard to change. Those
Yeah.
are slow changes, but again, we recognize from our office, each school and each community has their own unique habits and things that they do, traditions that they get in, and we try to support those as much as we possibly can. So last night we talked about the teachers with the highest proficiency awards, and then we spent a lot of time just looking at normal reports that we're looking at, the financial report, seeing where we are and seeing how we are compared to budget. And again, that's one thing that we take pride in, is trying to be good stewards of the money that the county has designated toward the school system, making sure that we are being good stewards of those dollars and following that. So we report on that every month. We report on our personnel reports, and so if people change jobs, any job actions that we take, people come and go sometimes during the school year, so we report on that. One of the things that the board has taken a particular interest this year, and it's new as of last night, we started putting a school attendance percentages by school by month. And so last night we took a look at those numbers, and I just remember one of our high schools, White House Heritage High School, I think they ran 98% during the month of October.
Oh,
So
wow.
pretty amazing. And most of our schools are in the 90s, and so that's our goal, for high schools to be at least 93, elementary schools to be at least 95. And so we can look at that, and the board has taken note of that, because again, we know, unless students are at school and there, and um, yeah, you can read notes, or you can watch a video of class, or go back over something, but there's nothing like being in that teacher's classroom and hearing lecture, participating in discussion, participating in activities, doing those one-on-one. You can talk about your class all day long, but nothing like being there, right?
Right, exactly.
And so
Oh, yeah.
we want to make sure. And I know during COVID that the idea of being in school, it was just kind of the opposite of what we were being told: is stay away from people, and stay away if you have a fever, stay away for all these reasons. And so now we're on the opposite side of that. Come to school as much as you possibly can. So as our board looks at that, that's going to be a regular part of our board meetings, where they see each one of those things. And so as we look at finances, as we look at attendance, as we look at personnel, those are all going to be reports that they start seeing every month. I mentioned that we set graduation dates, and again, we'll get those on our websites. And then the last thing they did is we approved a few what I'd call minor construction projects last night. East Robertson High School is doing some renovation of some of their restrooms and doing some things like that. So every time that there's a physical change to our buildings, we take a look at that. Our construction folks take a look at that. Our internal buildings and grounds people take a look at it, and then the board, considers those and approves or disapproves those. So last night, East Robertson brought 3 or 4 of those, and so we had an opportunity to review those. We've already talked about the programs, the Veterans Day programs, and we always talk about special permissions, special programs that are going on. We do want to recognize, our fine arts department. They had their winter schedule for bands and choir concerts that are coming up, and again, they're just all the way from elementary school students learning music to our high school bands and our high school choirs doing great performances, and so those are coming up. Theater coming up throughout the month, and a lot of those first semester theater shows are out there, and athletics. We're kind of wrapping up fall sports. Certainly want to recognize Springfield High School, East Robertson High School, and Joe Burns High School for moving on in the second round of playoffs, and those games will be this weekend. And hope it's going to be a little warmer. I think the weather's warming up some. And
yeah, I was just checking it. As a matter of fact, we've got, I know the high today's 49, so tomorrow it's 61, and then Friday 69, Saturday 72.
How
So
nice.
it's going to be, yay. I'm excited.
So it wipes out everything we talked about snow.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that'll turn back around, but we also have,
Sure.
we've been talking about this in our newscast that we are, transitioning from the fall sports,
Yes.
but the basketball jamboree is Saturday.
Yes, it is.
So, yeah.
So
Did you have that on your list?
I did.
Okay.
Just basketball season's
Yep.
coming up. I received yesterday a report from our high school bands that compete, and it was amazing to see all of the awards and recognitions that our bands from all of our
Ours did
our
great.
schools have done. A wonderful job this year, and things like that. Got some word. I think a couple of our cheer and dance teams have won awards from TSSAA and other local competitions that they're in. So
I'm going to shout
you know,
out our
just
Greenbrier girls.
So
'cause
many
they got,
things going on. Great.
They got
yeah.
second in the state.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to, since you mentioned it, I know I don't have a whole list in front of me, but they're my girls.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I think they got the second in the state, the Greenbrier Bobcat cheer team. So
Great.
didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
you,
you're
but
not
I
at
had to
all.
throw that out there.
You're not at
So,
all.
Anyway,
And again, well, I mentioned earlier when we talked to the Chamber of Commerce, I want people to know and understand there's so many great things going on in schools, and yes, we always try to learn from mistakes, and mistakes happen every day. When you have an organization as big as we do, we're the 14th largest school district in the state of Tennessee,
blows my mind.
and when you talk dealing with more than 11,000 students every day and their families, getting them to school, getting them fed, teaching and learning, and then all the things that go along with that. It's a big business, but yet we want even those people who don't have children in school, don't have grandchildren in school, we want them to be proud of the things that are going on. We want them to be proud of our cheer teams. We want them to be proud of our football teams, our bands, and our choirs, and all that. And we invite them to come join in those programs. We try to make those very affordable for families to come and visit, and whether that's a basketball game or a cross country game or a golf match, there are always opportunities to come out and see students, and not just see them, but interact with them and have good conversation, be able to talk to them. And you mentioned mentoring a few minutes ago, and just opportunities to share that wisdom with that next generation.
For sure. And if you want to be involved, I mean, you can be a substitute teacher. You can be, these are just part-time things. You can be a bus attendant. You can become a bus driver. You can be a teacher assistant. There's so many kids that I talk to that are not really sure what they want to do. And I talk to them, have you thought about teaching? And have had a few go, you know what? I think I might enjoy doing that. And just the influence that you get to have in these kids' lives is just so beautiful and so wonderful and so rewarding. And there's always going to be a knucklehead or two, what's the principal's name over at IA? He calls them wandering sheep.
Wandering sheep.
What is, the principal?
Dr. Bell.
Yeah, Dr. Bell. I got so tickled, and he goes, "Don't call them knuckleheads." I'm like, "Well, I got that from Judge Perry," but you're going to always have those. But even I tell everybody whenever we're dealing with a particular, because it seems like if I've got a wandering sheep in my class, it seems like they're wandering in several other classes as well. And so the teachers will say, "What are you doing? How what's going on?" And I tell the story that my veteran, that was my son, that was on the stage yesterday for the forum for the talking to the veterans, he was that kid that just drove the teachers crazy and he gave us a lot of trouble when he was in high school. The young man, I put him up against anybody now, because I mean, he's a veteran. He was the innovator of the year for HCA last year, about to be a daddy. Just, you couldn't ask for a finer young man. And trust me, he tried our patience. So you just got to remember those things.
Right.
And it's been so funny. My friend Muriel has even told me stories about different ones that have come on that are teaching now, or, in the school system. She's like, "I went to school with them." And maybe they had their knucklehead moments too.
Right.
And we won't call names, but I got so tickled one time. She was telling me something about that. Not you, but it was somebody else that had been on the show with me. She's like, "Oh, you just have no idea," because we went to school together, and they're great. But it's just, you have to remember, they're just kids. Yeah, I had that conversation with Mr. Sutton the other day about one in particular, and he goes, "Just remember they're a teenager, Miss Vivio." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." So you just journey with them. Just journey with them. It's beautiful.
That pride, you mentioned, as I look around our district and just, looking around there's several students that I taught when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And taught them, and, they're deep into their careers now, and, doing a good job of teaching. It always gives me, I get to visit a lot of classrooms. But,
bet,
I try to stop by them just about every day that I can. And, somebody came to my office this last week, and it was a student that graduated. Most people know I was director of schools in Dixon for about 11 years.
Right.
And so a student stopped by my office the other day, and she said, "You gave me my diploma."
Oh,
And
man.
so, to be able to do that just here recently. So, just people that graduated in the last 2 or 3 years, where I had the opportunity to interact with them that way and meet them and know that. But all the way back to when I was teaching math at Greenbrier, and taught East Robertson a little while. I had a lot of those students that are teaching now. And so to go in their classrooms, it's really kind of special.
I love it. I love it. And you talk about, and just something you just mentioned about teaching math. I forget that you teach, because you also worked with music too, right? Did you always just teach?
I've always
teach
taught
math,
but
you were part of the band and all of that. What is that connection? Because I've been a little confused on that.
I'm a part-time non-professional musician, so
Okay.
I've worked with them, and just, sometimes played piano for them in some of their plays and things they've
Okay.
done, and always try to support band. And I was a musician in band and participated in band when I went through school.
You've mentioned band so much. I kind of
Yeah.
had my wires crossed, and I thought that maybe you were a band instructor, but
Yeah.
it was. And I do remember you mentioning math now, and I still, well, tell all the math teachers y'all are superheroes. I have we do newscast. We record our newscast at 8:30 in the morning, and so it has to. If you want to do a newscast, I will try to do it a little bit later on occasion. But for our timing, for the kids to be able to edit it through the day and all that, we have to get it recorded at 8:30. And a particular young lady that's wanting to do news, it's during math, and she has to be caught up and all that.
Yeah.
And I was having the conversation with her teacher the other day, and she goes, she just can't right now. Because math is one of those things you have to be there. You have
Right.
to build on it. It's so critical, because if you miss a day, then you don't know you'll be lost. And it's so important for end-of-course testing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, y'all, you math teachers are superheroes in my book. Big time. Big time.
I
It's
don't
a
know
lot
that
of work.
everybody appreciates it as much as, when you're in that, but that,
Mhm.
and this, as a teacher, when people come back and say, I know why we did that, or
Mhm.
I didn't like doing that in class, but now I see
I get it
why
now.
we did that. I get it.
Mhm.
And so that's just another one of those little smiles that come back to us.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. We're just talking about our school system, Robertson County Schools. getting our update from Dr. Weeks. It's been a couple of months because we were dealing with fall break and just an incredibly busy October. So good to just kind of touch base. And when we get back together, we'll be Christmas trees and all the things, Christmas programs. We'll be right there. Will we be done? No, will we be finished with end of course testing by the time you come back? We pretty much will, I think.
Probably wrapping up.
Just right at the end of it. Man, it just goes so quick, guys. Just so quick. I need to pause and do a break, though. I'm just sitting here texting with my friend Julie Bernard over at Bernard Custom Cuts and Market. And guys, last week it was so funny because they had beef in the store, fresh cut beef in the store for a few days, and they put it out a third at a time. It's so popular. And they work so hard to give you exactly what you want. But, boy, there's a lot of competition for it. So I messaged her and I said, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing this week? Cutting pork. And they're smoking pork chops and smoking sausage and baking. That smoked meat, oh, my goodness, it is just the best. And it just smells so wonderful. But they're smoking pork chops and sausage and smoking some more bacon and curing cottage hams for next week. It's that time of year. You want those smoked meats. You want those specialty meats. You want that special ham as you're getting ready for Christmas and Thanksgiving and all the things, and they're getting ready for you at Bernard Farms Custom Cuts and Market. So that's what they're working on this week particularly, but every day you go in there, you've got an opportunity to just stock up, to maybe buy some beautiful gift items. You could put together some gift baskets while you're in there. Go in and get some of that TNT popcorn. The boys have their specialty popcorn that they've got. You could put together all kinds of fun things by going into Bernard Farms Custom Cuts and Market. And also, too, guys, if you go by there, you can also pick up breakfast. You go by there right now. They've got breakfast going, and it smells so good. Or you can go by at lunchtime and grab one of those pork burgers. Just the best thing. They're open right now. They're open Tuesdays through Saturdays, 7 to 4. Tuesday through Saturday, 7 to 4. Closed on Sunday and Monday so they can have a life and have family because they got 2 little boys and a farm to run and all the things. But a great store, a lot of fun. We'll be talking about their Christmas event that they'll have coming up. But we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. But just keep in mind, now's the time. If you want to have some specialty meats for your Thanksgiving, you need to get in there. You need to check out when they're going to hit because, boy, when they come out, they sell fast. But this week, cutting pork, smoking pork chops, sausage, and bacon, and curing those cottage hams that you're going to want for next week. Get by and see them. This is Bernard Farms Custom Cuts and Market, 7536 Clay Gregory Road in Orlinda. You can always call them 615-637-0004, 615-637-0004. Just pop in and see them. They're open right now, 7 to 4, Tuesday through Saturday. When you talk to them, tell them U-Turn sent you. All right, what else do we need to talk about, Dr. Weeks?
Well, just thinking about those things that are coming up toward the end of this semester, and students getting caught up, making sure they're where they need to be, ready for those tests. And our tests are important, but it's not all we do. There's so many more things that happen in our school system rather than those tests. And again, we don't mean to minimize those in any way because it is a reflection of what they've learned in classes. But we're honored to this past week to recognize those folks from last year who worked so hard and had classrooms that were exemplary with the number of students passing those tests. And in terms of district stuff, we're looking forward to an opportunity in the next couple of weeks or so. The state of Tennessee releases what they call reward schools, and so we're anticipating being able to make some announcements coming up. I think Friday after next.
Okay.
So I think it's the 21st, and so we'll be out visiting some schools, and again, just another opportunity where the state makes some recognitions, and we're so proud of the work that's going on each and every day, and it takes a lot of hard work to be a reward school, and we're going to have some announcements that we may have seen more than we've ever seen.
What does that entail to be a reward school? Can you kind of unpack that? Because this is, I'm still learning all this stuff, and I kind of understand it, but can you just kind of clarify it for us?
Well, the state, we've talked about growth. Student scores higher than they're projected to score based upon all of their testing, and so. As we know, each school gets a growth score between 1 and 5, with 5 being the highest. And I think Greenbrier High was level 5.
We were able to do that 2 years in a row.
Yeah, and so they take the growth scores along with the achievement. So that's the percentage of students who did score above average on the test. And so they were either proficient or advanced on the test. And so we take those, the state takes those two numbers. They look at your chronic absenteeism, how many folks are out of school. And so the attendance, again, that's an emphasis for us. And they take how you do with that lowest 25% of the students that are in your school. So they kind of pull out what are we doing to bring those students up, and push them and help them achieve and move them from the bottom, so to say. And so the schools that do an outstanding job of that, they rank them across the state, and then the schools that are ranked highest earn that reward
I
school
love it.
designation.
That's very cool.
And so they do that. Districts also receive a designation. I think there are 4 designations that districts receive, and we're going to be excited to make some announcements about
I'm
that.
excited.
So,
That's
yeah,
wonderful. I had
really
not
good
heard
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, very good. So it's a good day to live in Robertson County, y'all.
Yeah.
And, when you mentioned earlier that we're the 14th largest district in the state,
Yes.
that just blows my mind. And of course, those districts that are the largest are there's many of them clustered right in this area,
We are, right.
of course. But you just don't think about little old Robertson County being 14th in the state of Tennessee. I mean, that's just enormous.
When we have our Mid-Cumberland Superintendent's meeting,
Mm-hmm.
so there are 16 of us that meet together every month. And so when you think Metro Nashville being, probably second largest, and then Sumner County being a large school district, Williamson County being a large school district, Rutherford County being a large school district, and Clarksville, Montgomery. So we're right in there with them.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then you have, smaller districts, Stewart, Houston,
Yeah.
Dixon, Cheatham County, along with there. But being in that group, we meet together. We share a lot of ideas. We meet with the State Department. They talk to us about expectations. And again, it's a great group to be a part of, and it's great to be here in Middle Tennessee and be on that. We want to be a leader, and we want to be in that group with those school systems that are pushing forward and making those advancements.
Making a difference.
Yeah.
What is the largest one in Tennessee?
The Shelby County, Memphis City schools. Yeah.
Okay, I kind of figured, but you just kind of perspective wise, I don't know. To me, Nashville seems like it would be bigger,
Yeah.
but so I was just I wonder how close are we? Because is Nashville number 2?
I would think so.
I would think it would be.
so, and,
Yeah, interesting.
Somebody told me that Clarksville was growing, and it's
Well,
probably
it's the
going to be
military base, yeah,
the
down-
3rd or 4th largest,
Wow.
right behind Chattanooga now.
That
so
blows my mind.
does.
Yeah, it's incredible, guys. We're just booming. We're just booming, and we're not going to slow down anytime soon. So, hang on. Let's go and let's just do it right. But anything we're missing, we've got just a couple of minutes here.
We're Education Committee, which is a group of the county commissioners. They come meet with us on Wednesday just to
Okay.
talk about, what are our long-term goals, what are our long-term things that we're going to be asking for. So we're going to be meeting with them on Wednesday. We meet every other month with them for about an hour or so and talk about those things. And hopefully we'll be before long talking about some building projects. You talk about
Okay.
growth, and we'll be talking some of those things coming up.
Well, and we'll have Mayor Vogel in here next Tuesday because the county commissioner meeting is next Monday. And so then Mayor Vogel will be in here, and that seems to always be something that we cover from the county commissioners meeting,
Right.
our building projects with the school system, because it's just part of it. We've got to, because we're bursting at the seams,
Right.
literally. So, all right then. Anything else?
I think
I
that
think
we
we got
covered
it. Well, it's so good to catch back up with you. It's been a couple of months, and we'll see you. Wear your Christmas sweater next time.
That's
We'll
right.
be in Christmas. So
That's right.
anyway, have a wonderful
Thanks so
Thanksgiving.
much. Take care.
And I'll see you around, I'm
Yes.
sure, because we've got all kinds of events. But Dr. Danny Weeks' office is always open. Go and talk to him if you need to. And thank you for joining us. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.